Ghosts and goblins may not be true, but this ghost story is 100% true. This ghost will sentence this man to life in prison. No one told him to mess with that girl. On the early evening of January 23rd, 1897, a blacksmith named Erasmus Shue would call on his young worker, an 11-year-old boy. "Come here, young man, and tell him I need you to go home and check up on my wife, and tell her, Daddy's gonna be home a little bit late this evening, baby. I just got a last-minute order for some horseshoes I'm gonna do real quick, and I'm gonna come to you, honey bun." Zona, Erasmus's wife, was only 23 years old. Gorgeous. Damn, I'll tap that. And Erasmus was 35 years old. They had only just met a few months ago when Erasmus would arrive in West Virginia and would tell Zona, "Damn, girl, can I get those digits?" Wait, time out. I don't even know if they had phone lines in that area during that time. So let's just say he would tell her, "Damn, girl, you're so hot. You make my ice cream melt." And they would get married. Zona's mom, Mary Jane, she didn't like that guy, this Erasmus dude, because he was older. But anyway, they fell head over heels and got married in November and moved into a house together. And right away, Zona would get pregnant. You know how these people are with this bumping and grinding stuff. They don't waste time. But they wouldn't tell anyone she was pregnant. They didn't want to jinx it. So on January 23rd, Erasmus was just worried about his pregnant wife. That's why he would send that little boy, his helper, to go check up on her. When his helper would go to Erasmus's house, he would knock on the door. Knock, knock, knock. No answer. He knocked again. Knock, knock, knock. No answer. So he said, "Let me try this knob." He tried the knob. It was open. So he gently walked right in, and right by the stairs, he would see Zona, just like this, at the end of the stairs. So he would say, "You alright, ma'am? You alright? You don't seem well." And then he would just run out of the house and run to his house and tell his mom, "Mom, I think Zona, Erasmus's wife, is dead." So she would tell that little boy, "Go to Erasmus's store right now and tell him, lock up and go home, and I'll get the doctor." It would take Zona's doctor 1 hour to reach Zona's house. When the doctor reached Zona's house, he would see that 11-year-old boy and his mom downstairs and other neighbors. He would go upstairs and see Zona lying in bed because Aramis had carried her up there. Aramis was just holding her by the head and combing her hair and crying. He was just crying and combing her hair. Sad. She was gone. The doctor knew Zona and Aramis very well because he was Zona's doctor. So he was very touched and sad. He would go up to Aramis and tell him, "Son, let me just examine her." And Aramis was holding her by the head, combing her hair and crying. The doctor told him, "Son, step aside, let me examine her." So Aramis kind of moved to the side a little bit, but he kept on holding her by the head and combing her hair and crying. And the doctor would examine Zona, and he determined she died from complications of her pregnancy. The next day, Zona's funeral would be held at the local cemetery. By then, everyone knew Zona was pregnant, so everyone was just heartbroken and very sad for Erasmus. Erasmus couldn't stop crying. He couldn't stop crying. And when they were lowering the casket, he would take Zona's favorite scarf and put it around her neck and close the casket. He couldn't stop crying. And Zona's mother, Mary Jane, she wasn't really upset over Zona's death, but she kept on looking at Erasmus with such disgust for some reason. And after the funeral, people wanted to go pay their respects to Erasmus and Mary Jane, but Mary Jane just left and didn't speak to anyone. Mary Jane didn't take her daughter's death very well. She became super depressed and broken, and when people walked by her house and looked inside, they would see candles all over her place. Even her husband no longer slept in the house. He would sleep outside in the barn. It was sad. But on the morning of February 21st, Mary Jane would dress sharp and march down the road to her local prosecutor's office. She wouldn't even knock on the door. She would just barge right in and drop it like it's hot. Mary Jane would tell the prosecutor this weird and crazy story. At first, the prosecutor thought Mary Jane lost her mind. But after 2 hours of her telling him the story, things actually started to make sense. And he started to believe Mary Jane. And he would tell Mary Jane, we need to exhume Zona's body. And after Mary Jane left the prosecutor's office, he would go to the doctor that examined Zona and tell him, Doctor, we need to exhume Zona's body. Something may have went down that wasn't kosher. The next day, the doctor, the prosecutor, and a team of men went and exhumed the body. They took the body to a local schoolhouse and left. And the doctor and the prosecutor would examine the body. Just 30 seconds in, they would look at one another and say, oh my God, Mary Jane was right. This is the story that Mary Jane had told the prosecutor. She had told him, on the day of Zona's funeral, I was just so disgusted with Erasmus Shue for some reason. That man makes me sick. That I just went home and kept on praying I need to get in contact with Zona. God, please let me get in contact with Zona. I know something went down that wasn't right. So for that month, I kept on praying and praying and praying. And in the middle of February, a light would come in my room and it would get so cold. And then all of a sudden, the light would just disappear. But I told myself, I'm getting closer. So I kept on praying and praying and praying. And that light would show up 2 more times and disappear. But on the 4th night, Zona would step out of the light. Dirt would come out of her mouth. And she would tell her mother, he killed me on January 22nd over some food. He used to fight over stupid things with me, and he killed me because he wanted some meat, and I did the wrong food. And then Zona's neck went 180 degrees backwards, and she was walking out with her neck on backwards and telling her mother, now you see what he did to me. Time out, time out, time out. Today's everyone's lucky day because I'm gonna give everyone that's watching this video something for 100% free. I'm gonna give you guys a free prayer. God bless anyone that hits that like button under this video. Alright, time back in. Let's go back. This guy was just crazy. I mean, we're all crazy. But to choke your wife to death for making you the wrong food, come on, bro. That's crazy on a whole nother level. Anyway, the very next day after Mary Jane spoke to her daughter's ghost, she would go to the prosecutor's office and tell the story. The prosecutor would go to the doctor that examined Zona and tell the story. And right away the doctor would say, "Oh my God, that was the reason why Erasmus Shue was holding Zona by the neck and crying and stroking her hair. He was trying to cover up her neck. And that was the reason why he put her favorite scarf around her neck in her casket. When they exhumed Zona's body and removed the scarf around her neck that Erasmus had placed, they would see marks all over Zona's neck. And after further examination, poor girl, her neck turned out to be broken and her windpipe was crushed. Erasmus would be arrested for the murder of his wife, and during his trial, Mary Jane would take the stand and tell the story of her daughter's ghost. It was so powerful that Erasmus would be sentenced to life in prison. 3 years later, Erasmus would die in prison from this mystery illness that went throughout the prison. It would also turn out that Erasmus was married twice before. One wife divorced him for being too abusive, and the other wife died in a freak accident when she was helping Erasmus fix the chimney, and a brick would fall down and hit her in the head. She would die. This is a true story. There's actually a plaque near Zona's cemetery that reads, "This is the only case in which a testimony from a ghost helped convict a murderer." I'm Ahmed Asyani, and I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. Please comment your opinion on the story, and please like, share, and subscribe. God bless you. I'm out of this joint.